This is said to be the place with the worst weather in the world. A place so forbidding that only the fearless or the foolhardy would want to experience it. So, hazard a guess where we're starting. This is Mount Washington, in the unlikely location of New Hampshire, USA. You wouldn't expect extreme weather to be found in New England. But on April 12, 1934, Mount Washington Weather Station measured one of the fastest wind speeds ever recorded on land. 231 miles an hour. In fact, winds here hit hurricane force more than 100 days a year. Now, bear that in mind during the next couple of minutes, because I'm about to take a little walk outside.
Okay, just popping out, which is, it turns out, quite a chore out here. I can not only hear the wind around this building, I can feel it. The whole place is vibrating. Oh no, I've forgotten my goggles. This is doing it in the wrong order, and you just, right, your eyeballs can freeze. Any exposed skin, you have frostbite on it within 2 or 3 minutes. Right, that's my best hat. I won't get cold with that on. This is to stop my nose falling off, which would be bad because I'd never be able to wear sunglasses again when I want to. Liner gloves. Mittens. Okay. Obviously, I am now obliged by law to say I'm going outside. I might be some time. I mean, that's what I called it, is indoors.
At this point, I think I should try and give you some idea of what I might be in for, with a small demonstration. The lightest wind you can feel on your face is about 5 miles an hour. Enough to rustle this newspaper. 15 miles an hour, and your umbrella gives up the ghost. 25 miles an hour can cause a deck chair to set sail. Followed at 30 miles an hour by your garden furniture. 45, and all hell starts to break loose. Seemingly rigid structures suddenly make a break for it. And at 55 miles an hour, even small buildings are on the move. So why am I telling you all this? Because on Mount Washington, it's currently 65, with gusts reaching a staggering 85 miles an hour.
Believe it or not, I'm actually sheltered at the moment. There's hardly any wind right here because I'm in the lee of the building. It starts about 6 feet that way, and then there's a lot of it. And the only way to demonstrate that is I'm going to go and stand in it. And for reasons best known to themselves, Brendan and Sean on camera and sound have decided to come with me because they're idiots. So, here we go. Right, walking, not windy, not windy, not windy, getting windy, getting windy. This is about 65, maybe 70 miles an hour worth of wind. But don't forget, this is the site of one of the highest wind speeds ever recorded by man. 231 miles an hour. How must that feel? I'd be gone. They do a calculation around these parts where you take your weight in pounds. I don't know what I am, it's about 150, 160. Halve it, that's the wind speed at which you're going to get into trouble. Which is about this wind speed. There are three major storm systems that meet right here. Sort of long-distance weather patterns. And that corner behind me is the most exposed place, which should make that the windiest spot on this whole mountain.
But lots of places have storm systems. Why is it here that's so windy?
Don't worry about this. They said it was just a precaution. So, take my hat, the one that caused this in the first place. Let's pretend this is Mount Washington. This desk fan is the wind. And we can see the wind hitting the top of the mountain. Mount Washington is the highest thing for miles around. So although there are hills here and a town here, ski resort there, they make no difference to the wind hitting Mount Washington. They're not high enough as obstacles to block it or disrupt its flow, so any wind there is will hit the top of the mountain. But there is another reason why it's so windy up there, and it's complicated enough to demand a clipboard. All of our weather happens in the troposphere, the first 11 miles or so of our atmosphere, and the top of that layer acts as a sort of ceiling. You know what it's like when you squeeze the end of a garden hose and the water comes out more powerfully, more quickly, because it's squeezed through a narrower gap? It's exactly the same here. Lose this. It's a precaution. The wind is forced through the gap between the top of the mountain and the top of the troposphere. That's a narrower gap, so it speeds up. And that's why
it always tends to be windy at the top of a hill. So wind is just air rushing from one place to another, speeding up as it goes through narrow gaps, slowing down as it hits obstacles. There are winds near the ground that blow locally, and ones high in the air that can blow long distances. And that is information you can use to your advantage.
Right, here's how to amaze your friends. First, stand with the wind at your back. Then you're looking for clouds. If those clouds are moving overhead, directly away from you, or directly towards you, or they're stationary, then the weather is going to stay broadly the same. If they're moving from left to right, it's going to get worse. If they're moving from right to left, it's going to improve.
So, right to left, better. Left to right, worse. Straight down the middle, stays the same. As long as you have your back to the wind.
Unless you're in the southern hemisphere, in which case you reverse that bit. Brilliant, isn't it? Really clever. I mean, it's not 100% foolproof because weather's really complicated, but it works more often than not. And that's about as much as you can say of any form of weather forecasting, isn't it?
And the clouds must have been travelling right to left up on Mount Washington. Because the next morning is truly spectacular. Unusually for this time of year, the cloud lifts and the wind subsides. Slightly. And I venture back outside into a suddenly magical landscape.
Folks around here quite proudly proclaim that it has the worst weather in the world, and, well, I don't know. I mean, severe, yes, but looking at it like this, worst, not so sure.
But there's no doubt that this is a place shaped by wind. It's so windy here that the buildings have to be chained down. Even the ice appears to fly off in frozen streamers. These streamers don't point away from the wind. They grow towards it. And here's how. Ice crystals are carried through the air by the wind. But the moment they touch an object, they freeze tight. The next ice crystal to be blown in freezes to the first, gradually building outwards in the direction they blew in from. And that gives me an idea.
I've thought of another way you can see wind. I looked around and a lot of the snow that I can see in the air isn't falling, it's been blown by the wind, sticking to any available surface. So, I've got a pocket full of this biodegradable confetti. Let's wait for a good gust.
Watch how the confetti blows in swirling patterns. You'd think that at these wind speeds everything would just get whisked away in a perfectly straight line. But it doesn't. It rolls and curls like waves crashing onto a beach. And occasionally those rolling eddies turn into tightly knit spirals, in a shape scientists call a vortex.